Okay, we're live. If you guys are here, make sure to say hello in the comments. I already see a few of you guys are saying hello, but I also appreciate hellos that acknowledge that everything is working. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, say hello. I just realized I had my sound on for myself, so we're gonna fix that. But it looks like things are running well. Today, yes, this is my premiere with my purple hair. So first time on YouTube with my purple hair, and I'm loving it. That was a little self-care thing I did for myself. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, and now I just finally got around to it. So today is the first day of my online digital book signing. So you're going to see this basically the entire time during the video to remind you guys that everything in terms of signed books is 15% off today. So like you can get any of my books, whether they're my fiction books, my children's books, or my nonfiction books. You can get them signed, and you can also get free stuff when you buy them. So for every book you buy, you get a free sticker along with the book. There are 3 different stickers. You guys will see them on the website when you visit that link. There is a Mr. Moon sticker. He's sitting on a pile of books. There is a future best-selling author, right? I think that's what it says. Future best-selling author. It's like a typewriter. And then there's a cute cupcake that says, feed an author, leave a review, which is just ironic. So that's why I like that one. But yeah, so thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it because I also know I changed the schedule last minute because quarantine, I just forgot that I'm not automatically free all week long, and I have an appointment later today that I totally forgot about. So story of my life. So today I'm just gonna jump into it. Today we're talking about my experience publishing my debut novel, Essence, and if I was smart, I would have it near me so I can show it off, but I don't. Oh, well, I guess I do. Hold on, guys. 1 minute. I'm going to keep talking so it doesn't feel like I abandoned you. Now you guys got a good look at my office, but this is the book we're talking about today, the publishing process for this book. This is a book that you can buy right now, signed. And yeah, so I published this the summer before my senior year of high school. Yes. So it came out August 1st. And I was not the type of person to be shy about my books. I was very proud of the work I had done. So I told everyone, and when I mean everyone, I mean I got the teachers involved. I invited teachers to my book signing to see it and get the book, and really it was a good experience for the most part. I'm just over here trying to like makeshift a little stand. Don't mind me. You said you were 17. I don't remember exactly. It was either 16 or 17 because my birthday's in July and the book came out in August. So like in my head, I keep thinking 16 because I did the majority of the work when I was 16, but I think technically I was like 17 by a month. So that's why I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. But yes, so I invited everyone. I invited teachers. It was great. It was fabulous. And the teachers were super supportive. Unfortunately, as you guys are all familiar with, children are brutal. And that also includes teenagers. Teenagers are just as bad as children. So anytime you do anything, they're going to make fun of you for it. Now, luckily, I lived in my own little oblivious world. So most of what was going on, I was pretty unaware of it. And by that, I mean, I was completely unaware that there was a hate club about me at my school. And the odd way I found out about it was because I had a friend who is like my best friend, but she went to a different high school than me. And I was hanging out with her one day and she just mentioned like, hey, one of my like friends mentioned there's a hate club against you at your school. And I had no clue what she was talking about. But as I did a little bit of digging, I kind of realized it was just this group of girls who just made it their mission to talk about me and spread rumors. And they even went as far as to like post reviews on Amazon, and I think one of them is still there because I can't remove them because it's Amazon. Amazon's very picky about that. They posted reviews about the book saying the book was full of typos. And this book, I can guarantee you, like, I spent like a lot. You can look at one of my videos where I talk about how much I spent to publish it. But I know for a fact there are not typos in that book. Like, I've gone through that 20 times. There aren't typos in there. But that's what they said, and that's what they told everyone. And it was just one of those situations. So let me back up a little bit to say why people are saying like jealous. Yeah, probably. But I was unapologetically proud of what I had done in my book and all of that. So I wasn't afraid to flaunt it a little bit. And when I say flaunt it, I mean, let me see if I can do a screen share right now. Okay. So, here we go. Here's an example. That is me, and that is me in high school. And that is me. This isn't the front page one. For whatever reason, I took a picture of the full article rather than take a picture of the fact that I was front page on a local newspaper, but this writer wrote for like 4 different newspapers. So my face ended up on 4 different newspapers. It was great. But so I ended up on front page, and let me tell you how I ended up on front page. And it was because, I remember this vividly because it was just such a strange thing that happened. I was sitting in my my biology class, and for whatever reason, a little phone call came through, and my teacher was like, "Mandi, you need to go to the superintendent's office." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" So I go to the superintendent's office, and my superintendent is telling me like, "Hey, Neil Schusterman is coming in later this week, and you're going to have lunch with him." And at that point, I'm just like, "Oh my God," because he's like one of my favorite authors. Or I should say, like, not that I don't like him as much right now, but I don't read his books as much right now. I read more like more adult books, and just not as much like fantasy. And he writes very much like fantasy and dystopian. But either way, his books inspired me. So I was ecstatic. And then they were like, "And we also are gonna have someone come in and interview you for the local newspaper about your book." And I was like, "Oh my God." So basically that's how that happened. That's how I ended up on the front page there. And I was freaking ecstatic. So that photo there, I'm sitting in my superintendent's office. And I'm so thankful for that. I don't know if that resulted in book sales or not. I just know that I was thankful for this. You guys may have seen this video. It's still up if you guys want to watch it. But as you can see, that's me, and that's Neil Schusterman, and I got to eat lunch with him, as well as like a few teachers and like one other student. And he signed all my books, and you can tell he was aware that I was an author. Guys, I even gave him a copy of my book. Yeah. Best of luck with your book, and wishing you extraordinary things. So yeah. Let me get back to this because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, see, some people are saying their schools were supportive, which is so awesome. Like I said, my school, so supportive. My teachers, so supportive. They were also eager. It was just like these little bits of rotten apples. That's all. But yeah, so that's that. But so I think that's what resulted in that. And another thing that happened, and I don't know if this is related or not. This could have been totally out in left field, but the worst, because I never really acknowledged the hate club. I knew of their existence because like a friend was friends with me, but she was also friends with one of the girls that was in that hate club. But she was like, Mandi, you're so awesome. I don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And like, I really don't care. Like, I basically refuse to acknowledge it. I'm like, if I don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. Because I wasn't sure what exactly they were saying, and it didn't affect me like a lot. I just knew they existed. But one thing they did, and this was probably the worst thing that's happened to me, like career-wise, in terms of like bullying and privacy issues and stuff like that. Because there's been, as my YouTube channel gets bigger, obviously the bigger your channel gets, the more people will like you and the more people will dislike you. It's gonna happen. But the worst thing that I've had is that a friend of mine let me know, hey Mandi, if you Google your name, your website pops up, but then also another website pops up. So I Googled it and it was, I forget like what the URL was, but it was some Wix website that these people had created for free. And it was literally just two photos. It was two photos that were from Facebook. And one of them was a personal, like from my personal Facebook. Like they couldn't have, it wasn't my author Facebook page. It was my personal Facebook page because it's, God, again, I forgot how many times I have to share my screen today. It was this photo basically. And this is actually a thumbnail of one of my YouTube videos. But the difference is that the photo was only available without the text on it on my personal Facebook page. And this photo, I wouldn't say the photo means a lot to me, but what is happening in this photo means a lot to me. Because basically what had happened was my grandmother, or one of my grandmothers, had Alzheimer's for a long, long time. And she was put on hospice care. And that photo is from a talent show at my high school. And literally 2 days before that talent show, she had passed away. Before she had passed away, me and my family were visiting her a lot, and I played the song Yellow by Coldplay for her on my ukulele. So when it came to the talent show, I was like, I'm going to play this song. So that song means a lot to me. And yeah. It just felt very invasive for that folks. Again, I haven't even given context. I'm so sorry. I told this story, but not like on YouTube. So the website were two photos, one from my public Facebook page, one from my private Facebook page, and they had defaced the photos. And when I say deface them, I mean they took the photos, opened them up in like paint, like literally paint, like the little program, and they drew devil horns on me. They gave me like claws. They, I think, did a mustache. I tried really hard to find all of these two photos again, because once upon a time I had saved them for whatever reason. And I think I think my laptop got wiped out at some point, and because they're just not there anymore. I don't remember deleting them, but they're not there. So yeah. But basically it came down to, obviously there was someone that I was friends with on Facebook that had done this, and it was probably from someone in that little hate group, because I don't just friend people on Facebook. So if for whatever reason, if you guys ever find me on Facebook, unless we've like met in person and had like conversations, and even then I might not friend you. I'm just very protective of who's on my Facebook for that reason, because I post my personal photos there. And because that has happened to me, that was just, I wasn't upset about what they wrote, because they didn't just draw all over me. They wrote awful things about me. Just every inch of the photo was covered. And no, they didn't try to turn me into a meme. They just like graffitied my face and every inch of the photo, saying like I was part of what's the thing? What's the triangle thing? Like that secret society, the triangle. I can't think of it right now, but they said I was part of that. Um I guess that I'm like, I'm not cool enough to be in that. What are you talking about? But they said all awful things. I'm pretty sure there was like explicit things written on there as well. Just like, it's hard to explain without actually showing it, and it's not worth the time and effort to try to recreate it. But yeah, they took these two photos and just Illuminati. Yes, they were saying I was part of the Illuminati. I'm like, no. But oh yeah, and the Freemasons. I'm not really sure which. Anywho, they just they went to town on it. But I took the screenshots just in case. I think probably in case I needed it to report it further. Cried about it a lot. For about a day. I was very durable back then. That's one thing I'll say, because I feel like things get to me more now, which is so strange, because you'd think I would have a easier time now, because at some point you get kind of desensitized. But that, like, back then, I think my mental health was better back then. Let's put it that way. And I was like, this bothers me, and now it doesn't anymore. Like, I wouldn't give people the time of day. I'm the type of person that believes, like, if someone's bullying you, if you give them attention, it will only make it worse. So my coping was like, I'm just gonna ignore them and pretend they don't even exist. I'm gonna just keep doing better. So that's how I cope. And I ended up reporting the website, and it was down within a day. It was, thank you, Wix, so much for being so fast with that response, because it wasn't what they had done to the photos. It was the invasion of privacy. It's sort of like imagine you think that where you live is private, but then like a friend like takes a picture, or I don't know. It's just like, imagine thinking that your home is a private place, and then someone's like going and taking photos through the window of you, and they post it online. It's like that sort of invasion of privacy. And I don't even know if I told my parents about that. Mom, if you're watching, let me know. Because I can't remember if I told her. I was really not one to make a fuss of things back then. Now when stuff comes up, I wouldn't say I make a fuss of it, but I have a harder time letting it go. So maybe I'll make a video about that eventually, on like ways to deal with it a little bit more. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. I think that was more or less the gist of it. But there's one more story I have to tell, but I'm just looking at my notes. Oh yeah, another reason why I think I was like pegged as like, this is someone we should hate, was not only because like the teachers liked me and stuff like that, because they really just wanted to encourage what I was doing. They wanted to see me go further, but they encouraged me so much that I was like, can I teach a writing workshop? And they let me. Like, one of my English professors let me have the classroom for a whole day. And I look back, I'm like, I was clueless. Why did she do that? But I also think she just wanted to just encourage, and she did. Like, here I am now. I'm still on YouTube, like all these years later, and still writing books, and it's been really good. So, it's worth it in the end to just show people like, hey, like, that's not gonna get to me. I'm gonna keep going. So my last story. This is a fun one. This was an in-person book signing. So this was probably, I think, the one and only time where I've had to deal with something face-to-face. And it was So I was at this bookstore, and I believe it was release day for I Am Mercy or something. Either way, I was signing books at a bookstore, and my table was like in the dead center of the bookstore. Um, and this old guy who probably goes to that bookstore every single day because he obviously didn't have anything else better to do with his time. I mean, he came up to me and he started asking about my book. Like, what's the book about? Like, but not in like a nice way. Like, his voice had a challenging tone. Like, it felt like he was going in ready to argue about something. But I was like, okay, Essence is about a young girl who becomes an essence, which is basically something that's a ghost. And she's acting as a spirit, watching over her family as they deal with her supposed death. It's a story about love, loss, and family. And that's the gist of it. So that was basically the pitch I gave him from what I remember. He took that as, this is a story about a girl who committed suicide. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not what my book's about. But that is, for whatever reason, what he got stuck in his brain. And he basically, was trying to lecture me as to how awful suicide is and how awful it is for a child to kill themselves and to leave the parents behind, and how that's the worst thing that a parent can ever go through. And I agree with that. Like, I agreed with him. I'm like, that is so true. Like, that, I can't imagine being a parent going through that. But I also was just trying to be like, that's not what my book's about. Like, if that's what my book was about, we could argue about this, but that's not what the book was about. But he was basically, I think he thought my book was saying, like, how, like, it was promoting suicide. And I didn't know how to handle the situation, but basically it comes down to, I'm at my table. I can't leave my table, and he's not leaving my table. And at this point, he's lecturing me. He's being like, suicide is an awful thing. Children should never get, like, and I'm like, I agree with you. Like, that, I agree with you. And there's things we can do to deal with that. But what you're saying has nothing to do with this book. And I kept trying to be like, well, she didn't want to die. Like, that's the whole book. She didn't want to die. And now she's trying to hang on to her human life and trying to help her parents move on with and deal with their grief. And it got to the point where literally this woman, I have no idea who she is, but she was my saving grace. She saw what was happening, and she came over and she picked up a book, and she basically cut him off because he wouldn't stop. And she cut him off and was like, what's this book about? And I think she was asking about I Am Mercy, trying to change the subject, like, completely away from this book. And so then I was like telling her, like, I Am Mercy's like the prequel to Essence. It tells how the magic all came to be and takes place during 14th century France during the Black Plague. And basically, as I was talking, she slowly started to shift her body closer to the middle of the table, basically pushing him out of the way until he finally walked away on his own. And it was so amazing, because eventually I just saw him walk away, and like this weight lifted off my shoulders. And the instant he was like out of hearing range, the woman was like, that man was so rude to you. I'm buying one of your books. And I'm like, thank you. I don't care if it's a pity purchase. I'll take it, because that was awful, and that makes me feel better. So yeah, that's, like, it's one thing to deal with stuff like when you know people are talking about you behind your back and online, like, that's one thing. But, like, to deal with it face to face, and then you can't even get the problem to walk away and leave you alone. Like, I wasn't initiating anything. He was just, like, ready to put up a fight. So that was my story. So I'm just gonna scroll through the comments. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna I have like a list of questions that I kind of like collected about Essence, about the publishing process. So more than just this bullying aspect, which again, I totally like. You are gonna come across this in some way, shape, or form, no matter like how big or small you are as an author in your book. Like, the unfortunate part is the larger reach you have, the more you're gonna have to deal with it. So the better you learn to cope with it, or I should say, the sooner you learn to cope with it, the better. So we do have one question from Charlie Cummings. How long did it take to write and publish Essence? So, for those of you who don't know, I was inspired to write Essence because I read Twilight and I fell in love with it. I hated reading before then. So I fell in love with that, and then I fell in love with more books, and then I was like, I'm gonna write my own book. So I did. And it actually started off as like a fan fiction, but not a very good one. And it was also like only 2 pages long. And then like it took me 2 pages to be like, if I'm going to write something, I'm going to publish it. So then I made up my own story, and that's how Essence came to be. And all in all, it took about 3 years. And that's between like that's from the very start of like I'm starting draft 1 to publication. Which now that I look back, it's like kind of like that was fast, because I feel like it takes me forever to write fiction books. Like nonfiction books come pretty like easily. To me, nonfiction is like writing a blog post, like just a really long blog post. And children's books, like it's what's time consuming is the illustration. But fiction, I swear every book takes me like 3 years. So this published draft, I think, is like draft 10-ish. I'm not really sure anymore. I can't remember. I've repeated myself so many times that I'm not sure if that's actually the fact or if it's just what I've planted into my head. Are you going to write more Essence connected books? So that's something that like once upon a time I wanted to do. So there's like one character in Essence that I would kind of want to give her own story. And honest to God, I can't even remember what that character's name was. This book was published in 2013. So that was, here I am looking, 7 years ago. Oh my God. Eliza. So there's a character called Eliza, and I would love to write her story eventually, but I just feel like so much of her story is told in Essence, and I don't know if there's anything else to tell. And then for I Am Mercy is the prequel to Essence, and I've always kind of imagined there being like a part 2 to that, but I have no clue what the story would be, because I'm like, I feel like there's more, but I don't know what more. I, I would have I would have lost my temper. I admire your patience. I have a temper. I hate confrontation. Like, I have a temper in terms of the fact that I will cuss things out on my own and with family members and friends, but like get me in front of a stranger and I will shut up. I know I'm just not good at arguing. I always feel like I'm set up to just fail. So yeah. How did you get into writing a thriller? So that's a great question. So I wrote a thriller accidentally. So for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, my third novel, She's Not Here, is a medical thriller. I call it like a medical thriller / dark contemporary, because medical thriller just sounds so boring. But that's technically what the genre is. Like, to the truest sense of the word, that is the genre. But so what happened was, for my senior project. God, did I have 2 senior projects now that I look back? Oh no, I remember. I had an independent study. So an independent study means that you can work like one-on-one with a professor to do whatever it is you want to do. So I approached my professor and I was like, hey, I'm writing this third book. Can I make it count as my senior, or not my, can I make it count as an independent study? Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what kind of work that would entail, but like whatever I need to do to get credit for this and do like a 2-for-1 deal, like write the novel while also getting college credit, that would be great. So she did that. And it's I rewrote that book a lot. And basically I had an idea and I just started writing the story. And then after writing it, I sent it to my professor and I was like, hey, like what kind of genre do you think this is? And she's like, I think it's a thriller. So I'm like, oh God, what did I do? And that's how I started writing thrillers. But now my current work in progress is a young adult thriller. And it's more like a murder mystery thriller. So like the more classic thriller genre sort of book. And I just got into that because that's the type of stories I enjoy reading. And I find that sort of thing interesting. So, yeah, and I'll talk more. I think it's one of these days, because each day this week I'm talking about a different book. So like today's all about Essence. Then tomorrow I have a regular video uploaded. Then Wednesday we're talking all about I Am Mercy. And then Thursday is all about She's Not Here. And then Friday is all about nonfiction. So we're going to write different things. Sabby's here. Hey, what's up? So let's see. Is She's Not Here connected to Essence and I Am Mercy? No, absolutely not. Like, not at all. So Essence and I Am Mercy are young adult fantasies. I Am Mercy is a young adult historical fantasy because it's a prequel. It was really fun to write about 14th century France. And then She's Not Here is totally out in left field. Like, that's an adult novel. It's adult characters. I wouldn't say it's adult subject because there's no like sex in it, but it's like about Alzheimer's and that sort of thing. Do you have any plans on going traditionally published? So no, like it's not. I feel like people get weirded out by that. So ever since I was laid off in March, my how I see my career going has become concrete. And that at this time does not include traditional publishing. That's not to say I will never traditionally publish. That's just to say, like, that doesn't meet my goals in life do not pertain around like seeing my book on a shelf. It does not pertain around becoming a New York Times bestseller. Although I'd be fine with that. And it does not include like having a huge publishing deal or a huge contract. Although again, would not mind that. Like, I'm not against it, but I'm not seeking it out. And I just like, I really enjoy the entire publishing process. Although I also hate it a lot. Like, it's really stressful. But I enjoy like having control over every aspect. And when you traditionally publish, that just is such a different journey. Like, I want to do it just to say I did it, just to like all those people that are like, oh, well, you're just self-published, just to kind of give them a big like slap across the face. But what my self needs to feel successful is not a publishing contract. If I ever did, it would be because I was a really good fit for the company, or more so, the company was a really good fit for me. Like, I'm not going to compromise. Because I've had like bites and nibbles with my books, and then it just didn't work out for whatever reason. So I cherish my stories that much, and I also like I want to do more than just write books. And my career will forever be a lot of different things. My career will forever be doing stuff like YouTube and graphic design and writing. And like, I'm not just an author. And that, like, I know I'm never going to make money just off of my books, but I also would get incredibly bored just writing books. And I find it so stressful. I find like the thought of trying to make enough money writing books, like it's not until you are self-employed that you realize how much money you have to make a very small amount of money. And by that I mean like you don't realize how many expenses you have, you don't realize how much tax you have to pay, because when you have an employer, they take out the tax for you. Like when I was at my old job, I was more or less unaware of how much taxes I was paying. But you know, when you're self-employed, you're like, huh, wow, I made a lot of money this week, but that's a small paycheck. So the thought of trying to do that off of just my books is extremely stressful. But I really went off on a little tangent there. Hi, Meg. I love seeing people here. I was so nervous that doing a live stream at this time would end bad. Because originally I just thought people weren't going to be able to show up. But hey, one good thing about quarantine, right? You guys can all come in and join. Sick and Twisted is a mystery one. So it's not like a Sherlock Holmes mystery, but it's definitely like it's got a plot twist. So I'm having a hard time talking about it because I haven't finished writing it. I finished writing it once upon a time, but then I had to rewrite the entire Act 3, which I'm still working on. So yeah. It's like a whodunit, like murder mystery, or in terms of Save the Cat, why done it? Why did the person get killed / why did the person kill someone? So, yeah. I just got here. Love the purple hair. Yay, thank you. So this is just, since there's a lot of new people here, this is a reminder that this week is my digital book signing, as you can see from right here. So from the 5th to the 9th, I'm having 15% off all my signed books. And then for every book you buy, you get a free sticker. And if you want all the stickers, you have to buy at least 3 books. Sorry, my brain, like, quarantine has not done me well in terms of brain power. I'm just going to put that out there. And Savvy, yes, the pandemic has ruined everything. I can make you like a list of everything I like. Guys, I'm going to therapy because of the pandemic. Like, it's bad. So let's see. I can't blame losing my job on the pandemic because they were kicking me out either way. But I can blame having my honeymoon canceled not once but twice. That's the pandemic. BookCon, New York City Comic-Con, 2 wine festivals, which are some of the best. Like, I had like, when I do wine festivals, I sell so many books because I'm the only author there, and I have a little sign that says, "Want some books with that wine?" And it's just so easy to strike up conversation. And, you know, people who drink wine are also usually readers, and it's just all around lovely people. But those have all been canceled, and so many vendor fairs have been canceled. And I'm just stuck at home, and I'm discovering more and more, wow, I'm an extrovert, so this is great. So yes. Sorry, I'm like reading comments right now. I love, so wait. I'm trying to like read. So Savvy, you said you lost a job due to the pandemic. I apologize. I've been in my own little bubble. I have stopped watching YouTube like almost altogether except for purely enjoyment. So my mental health revolved around, I'm gonna live in my own little bubble, and I'm just gonna post my videos and hope that it's going well. So are drunk people easy to pitch to? You know, that's a great question. Um, I would like to say that people weren't drunk there, but they were definitely giving out like so a wine festival. I've never been an attendee at one, but I can tell you after being a vendor at this wine festival, I want to be an attendee because you like with your ticket you get this wine glass and you just go from booth to booth and you can sample all the wine. So I imagine if you're a lightweight like me, I'm a lightweight, one glass of wine, I'm gone. Um, you'd be drunk. So I think it would be easier to pitch to people when they're either drunk or at least tipsy. Either way, um, I had a great time at that festival, and I didn't. Oh no, I did sample some stuff. I sampled moonshine and I sampled wine, but like literally the tiniest bits because, like I said, I'm a lightweight. Um, you're a kid's creative writing teacher. I didn't know that. I hate the pan. Like things. I'm frustrated, guys. But yeah, I have a theory that my job hired me knowing they were gonna eventually lay me off. So I'm bitter because of that, but I'm also thankful because I get to do this now. What was the festival name? That's a good question. They all take place in New York, like New York State, but they take place across different areas. So it was like, I don't even know if I can Google it. Hold on. New York Wine Festival. Not that it matters because they're not open. I honestly, I have no clue because I can't find the website now. All I know is that last week they gave me a check in the mail to refund my table, and I totally forgot that they needed to refund me, so they totally could have gotten away with that. But thankfully, there are good people in the world. I don't know, but there's a lot of wine festivals. So once the world opens up again, I highly recommend if you're an author to do that. Especially, I mean, like if you write strictly young adult stuff, it might not go as well. Because when I was at the wine festivals, my number one seller was She's Not Here because that was the age range of the people there, of course, naturally. And of course, there are adults that read young adult. But if you have like a mix of stuff, it'll do really well. So, do we have any other questions? I've been live for 42 minutes. I do have other questions, but they all seem very unexciting compared to the ones that you guys have asked. I'm just trying to go back to make sure that I didn't miss any questions. Let's see. Okay. I don't think I missed anything. Either way, I'll go through a few more questions that I have here, and then if I see people start to disappear and get bored, I'll like go away. Oh, Charlie has a question. I'm in the UK. Are most author tubers in the US? I don't want to say yes, but I know like a big chunk of people are. I know people in my personal friendship circle, and my personal friendship circle is a very small circle. They are in the well, no, I have a few Canadian friends and I love them. And they know who they are. But there's author tubers all over the world. I do know that. So if there's anyone who's an author tuber and is not from the US, feel free to like give yourself a shout out in the comments. Savvy joined late, but would love to hear about the teen author journey. Savvy, you missed so much. I don't want to go into it too much because it's kind of like a long story. But just know that like I got to meet Neil Schusterman, who's an awesome person. And there was a website where people defaced my personal photos, like mustache, devil claws, devil horn, and writing all over. And an old man gave me a lecture on why it's awful to write about suicide, even though this book is not about suicide. So overall, it's just been a wild ride. And I was a very, very confident teenager, which is funny because, like, well, I should say I was a very confident teenager when it came to this. Like, I was very proud of this, and I was not afraid to show this off. Which is funny because I feel like I've done the opposite. I think because, like, being on YouTube, so many people kind of like bash at you that you kind of want to retract a little bit. But yeah, so that's the summary of that. I will recommend that you watch the replay because I don't know how many people are still watching. Oh, yeah. I just read your comment. OMG, I could go on forever about all the lectures I got from older men as a young female business owner. Yeah. Yeah. Even like this is like on a similar realm, but like still on that like sexist thing. So a friend and I were both females. And we went hiking in the winter. And when I say hiking, like you guys have to understand, like my version of hiking is not like a walk in the woods. Like it's like up a mountain. And we hiked Cannon Mountain in New Hampshire, which is like a skiing mountain, and it was a very, very cold day. And my friend had broke her snowshoe, and it was like freakishly cold. And thankfully, because it was a ski mountain, we basically huddled at the door until they opened and let us in. And then I bought hot cocoa and warmed up. But basically, because of that, we got interactions with other people that either worked there or whatever. And it was the weirdest thing because this is not what I would have expected. But the men we encountered were like, oh my God, you just hiked that? That's awesome. Like, you girls are awesome. And then this one woman basically wanted to give us a lecture on to why that was the stupidest thing we'd ever done and how it was so dangerous and blah, blah, blah. But that was my TED Talk. So, yeah, people are great. They always just... My thing is, if you don't ask for my opinion, I'm probably not going to give you my opinion because everyone's different and we all deserve to have different opinions. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. And I'm not going to force you to have my opinion. And I hope that you do the same and you don't force me to have your opinion. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to read your comments, but I read them backwards. Okay, so Sari says, I had just won a grant in a pitch competition for a functioning revenue positive business I'd been running for a year. After the pitch, a drunk guy, oh, that's great, came up to me and was like, I've been in the print industry for 25 years and you have a lot of passion and that's great, but you have no business model. And I was like, I have a business. It makes money. Did you not listen to my pitch? I just won a $25K grant. People, they're great. I feel like that's happened so many times now in my life that I just like, which is a good thing. Like you want it to not bother you. But yeah, people are so great. Okay, so I'm going to answer one of my questions in case you guys have any other questions that come in. Because again, I just wrote a bunch of questions for myself because I hate being live and not having anything to talk about. It makes me feel really awkward. What am I most proud of? And that's in terms of essence. So all these questions are in terms of essence. So I would say in terms of essence and what I'm most proud of for that book, it would be like, I really like in some ways, like, I feel like Essence is one of my best books, but I could also say that about every book because I feel like for each fiction book, like, it's really strong in terms of a different thing. But Essence is really strong in terms of the sense that, like, it'll make you cry. Like, I poured my heart and soul into this book. And if it makes you, like, if I ever read a review and it says, hey, this made me cry, that makes me feel really good. I hope that doesn't make me sound cynical, but it's true. Because I worked really hard on that book, and like, you know, I was a teenager, so I was melodramatic. So I threw all my melodramatics into the book. And it just the results, I feel like this story is just so it feels very good. Like, even though I know the writing probably isn't the best because it was my first novel, like, your first book is never going to be your best book. There's not a thing I would change about this book. Like, I mean, maybe if a publisher was like, "Hey, here's a huge like publishing deal, but you have to like change a few things." And again, it's dependent on what those few things would be. I might like go in and edit things, but I would hope that the story wouldn't change, that it would just be like, "Hey, you need to like improve your writing a little bit." I'd do that. Um, as I just said a few seconds ago, traditional publishing isn't really my goal. I don't really care about it. But you know, if I got a contract, I'd do it. Um, when did you first know that you wanted to be a writer? Ooh, okay. So like I said, um, I don't know. So I guess it would be the moment where I decided to actually write my own story. Cause like I said, like for a whole 2 pages, Essence was a fan fiction. And then the moment I decided I'm gonna throw energy into something, I was like, I'm gonna make it my own book. But I'm not sure. I think it was a slow transition from I'm just writing for fun to, or no, because the moment I started writing the story that is now Essence, I decided that this is going to be a book and it's going to be published. Like, it wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. Um, but I don't know if I thought like I'm going to be an author and that's what I'm going to do. I think it was a very slow, like, it went from being like, this is going to be a book that's published to I'm going to be an author to I'm going to work for myself and then be an author. And then when I started making YouTube videos, I think that's when it really became like, this is going to be my career. And that's a lot of arguing I had at that age, because my parents are so supportive of this. But I do remember that between them and like my guidance counselor, my guidance counselor in high school did not like her. I'm sure she was great, but I just did not like her and the advice she gave me. But I became a very stubborn person in terms of like, this was gonna be it. Like, this, there was no plan B. Like, this was plan A, and that's all there is. Even though technically I had a plan B, because the high school I went to was technical high school, which, hey, like, I believe everyone should go to a technical high school. Like, that's just my, again, a little TED talk. Like, technical high schools are the best thing you can do, because you walk out of high school with a career, and then if you want to go to college, you can go to college, or you can just start working. But I, for those of you who don't know, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, hence the hair, hence how I was able to do this to myself. And I did that for about 2 years. But wow, where was I going with that? Oh, so my parents tried to tell me, like, hey, like, this is still a hobby, this isn't a job. And I was like, no, it's a job. And my dad was like, are you getting paid? I'm like, no, but it's a job. And my dad's like, it's a hobby until you get paid. Bless his heart. But yeah, it was a hobby until I got paid. But my guidance counselor was a little more harsh, because in my senior year of high school, I somehow ended up in AP calculus. Don't ask me how. I'm not good with math. I'm actually quite terrible with math, but I was somehow placed into AP calculus. Actually, no, I blame that on myself, because a teacher encouraged me to like take geometry over the summer and then skip a level, and that's how I ended up in AP calculus. And I was like, "Oh my god, you screwed me over. I didn't know I'd end up in AP by senior year." Um But either way, I tried very hard to get out of AP calculus because it was just awful. Like, in all in every sense of the word. It was awful. And I think I saw my teacher like every single day. I went to him. I'm like, I still don't get it. Like, please help me. And it got to the point where I went up to my guidance counselor. I'm like, can I transfer out? Can I like transfer down into trigonometry, even though I technically like am already past that level? And she's like, no, you need AP calculus. I'm like, yeah, but like I can't work on my book. Like, because at that point I had already published Essence. I was in my senior year of high school. Essence was already out. And I was like, I need to write, like, I'm trying to write this other book, I Am Mercy, and I can't write it because like AP calculus is taking up on my time. And she was like, you need AP calculus for college. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to go to college. Like, that was my thing. I saw school and college as a waste of time. Yeah. I'm very thankful for everything I learned in college, but at the same time, I'm like, technically, I didn't need college to do what I'm doing now. But I also know I learned a freakish amount of skills in college. But I was just a very stubborn person. I saw school as a waste of time because I'm like, the more time I'm working on my school stuff, the less time I have to actually write. I wasn't the smartest kid, okay, guys? But either way, yeah, that's what happened. That's probably the biggest like unsupportiveness I got, because my guidance counselor was like, you cannot write for a year, you'll be fine. And I was just like, no, this is my life. Like, this is what I do. I'm not gonna stop writing my book because AP calculus takes up all my time. But that's what we ended up with. Oh, we have a co-star. Moon's here. Please don't knock down the book. Hi. Hello. Everyone's going to talk about you now. It's not going to be about me anymore. It's going to be all about Moon. And of course, you guys know Moon has his own book. My parents don't see writing as a proper job. Should I regret not doing creative writing at university? So my major was my major was English with a focus in creative writing, just because that's how my school's structure worked. Moon, if you're going to be here, at least show your face, you know? There you go. But I personally, you can, what's the question? Should I regret not doing creative writing? I mean, you can learn creative writing without college. That's the thing. Because I actually hated all my English classes, and I adored all of my writing classes. And that's just the type of person I was. The only English class I really, really loved was my Shakespeare class, but that had 100% to do with the professor. So I think that's also like, I had this one professor who was in like every single English class that I took, and he was just so boring. And I was like, you are making this painful. Like, I'm an English major, but this is like my most hated class. Whereas my Shakespeare professor was awesome. He like would act it out. Like, he was the head of the English department, so like rightfully so, he was just amazing. And like, I just had such a huge respect for him, and he made me like obsessed with Shakespeare. And when I go on my honeymoon, not if, when we are going to London and I want to visit the Shakespeare Globe. But yeah, but should you regret not taking creative writing? I would say no. I mean, what'd you take? Computer. I assume some sort of computer science. That's like a well-paying job, and you can learn creative writing elsewhere. You could take Skillshare classes. You could take university classes. You can learn so much here on YouTube. You can learn so much just by writing. And most importantly, you learn by doing. So you can just self-teach yourself so much. Honest to God, that's how I got by. Obviously, in high school, I was not taking like creative writing classes. That's just not something my high school offered. But I just did it because I loved it, and I just rewrote until I was like, okay, this is good now. And then, of course, hired an editor and all that. I will say I don't regret my creative writing classes. They teach you to read critically and receive feedback, if nothing else. And I personally don't regret mine because I got straight A's. Yeah, same, same. I had one professor, and there was literally one semester. I think I had 3 different creative writing classes, which for probably for like it was probably a lot now that I look back at it for one semester, like 3 writing classes for one semester. I was just constantly like writing. I had a creative nonfiction writing class, and then a creative fiction writing class, and then I think I had one more that semester, and I can't remember what it was, but my favorite was creative nonfiction. I found that to be so interesting, like to take real life, because I love memoirs. I find something really beautiful about memoirs, and like that's basically what the class was. You basically learn the art of creating beautiful prose while writing nonfiction. The University of YouTube has been extremely helpful. Just don't get stuck on watching videos and forget to actually write and get feedback. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, been there, done that. It's really easy to get sucked into the vortex of like research where you're like, I'm technically writing even though you haven't written a word in like a long time. So yeah, I personally, I'm guilty of this right now, of not writing a lot right now. I'm sorry, my cat's just doing really weird things right now. Let me see if I can get him for you. Come here. Let's see. He's in my little washi drawer. Do you see this? This is a drawer full of washi, and he's just sitting on it. Might as well put him on the desk, you know? Let's see. Can I at least turn you? Let's see. There we go. That's cute. Right? This is the only time you're allowed on my desk, okay? And it's only because you're in a drawer. So your feet are not supposed to touch this desk. I have strict rules with my cats. Or cat. I only have one cat. I'm allergic to I'm allergic to him, actually. Like I feel bad because people think like I'm sick. I'm not sick. I'm just allergic to him. I have a constant like runny nose and scratchy throat. But yeah, he's not allowed on furniture except I guess right now. Are you doing any lives in November? So yes, actually. So there's gonna be 3 live streams for NaNoWriMo that myself, Natalia Lee, and Brooke Passmore are doing. One is on, I think, the 2nd. I think we decided to go live on the 2nd. And then there's, I do have the schedule, but Moon's on top of it. Sorry, that was a hiccup. So we are going live 3 times in the month of November, and it'll be like rotated throughout each other's channels. I think I might be the one that goes live first or last. I can't really remember, if I'm being honest. But just keep an eye out on our social media. We'll post about it there. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap things up. Oh goodness. Oh my goodness. Buddy, you're just gonna look cute, aren't you? He knows he's live on YouTube, doesn't he? Yes. Oh goodness. Okay. So seeing as the subject of this video has officially changed to Moon, I think it's time that we wrap things up, right? Or did you want to hold the spotlight for a little? Okay, now you're hitting keyboards. All right. There's another computer right here. I have a desktop, and he's hitting the keys off the desktop with his tail, and it's kind of destructive. But thank you all for tuning in. Again, please take advantage of the digital book signing. Oh, that's adorable. Moon says to go buy some signed books. Thank you, buddy. His little paws on my arm too. It's really cute. Okay, he's just gonna groom himself now. But please support these the writing streams by heading over to www.thebooklaunchplanner.com/collections/signed books and purchase some signed copies of my books. You can get the Marketing for Authors series or my fiction novels or Mr. Moon's Big Move. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are all awesome. Thank you for all the comments. I will have a YouTube video up tomorrow, and that video is going to talk about how to sell signed books online. So basically teach you how to do exactly what I'm doing right now. And then on Wednesday, I will be live on YouTube again, this time at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be talking about therapy as writing, and like some little writing exercises that I've been doing for myself to help my anxiety and stuff like that. So thank you all for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up and just keep on being awesome. And if you want to share this on social media, that would be great.